Good morning and welcome. This is the Hawaii State Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. This is our Wednesday, February 18th, 2026, 9:25 a.m. agenda in conference room 229. We are taking recommended action on two measures that were heard last week. The first is SB 2433 relating to condominiums, and I will yield to the Vice Chair for proposed amendments.
Okay, thank you. In the initial draft of Senate Bill 2433, there was a lot of concern about the term stakeholders, and so the proposed amendment really identifies the importance of recognizing and protecting the interests of condominium unit owners when they are affected by any kind of educational as well as other types of programs conducted by the Real Estate Commission and TCCA. So by tweaking the terminology, we're kind of ensuring that condominium unit owners are considered, but it's not necessarily to place them as stakeholders within the immediate framework of the statute.
Okay. As this is going to Ways and Means next, we will also make technical non-substantive amendments and defect the effective date to July 1, 2050. Members, any discussion? Okay, if not, Vice Chair, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator Lamosau?
Aye.
Senator McKelvey is excused. Senator Awa?
Aye.
Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. The last measure on this agenda is SB 2838 relating to condominiums. The recommendation on this bill is to pass with amendments. What we're going to do is amend the bill to require associations to provide electronic copies of the documents identified in section 4 of the bill and strike the remaining substantive language. So no more dashboard. We're just going to add on, as I mentioned in the previous hearing, to that electric production requirement of the items identified in section 4, which include master leases, reserve studies, audited financial statements, contracts, leases, and other agreements. We'll also make technical non-substantive amendments and defect the effective date to July 1, 2050. Members, any questions or comments? Okay, if not, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Of the remaining members, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, we're adjourned. Okay, good morning and welcome. This is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 in Hawaii State Capitol Conference Room 229. This is our 9:30 a.m. agenda of this Hawaii State Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. This meeting is being live streamed, and in the event we experience technical difficulties and need to abruptly end, we will reconvene tomorrow as it is a deadline day to address any outstanding business. Tomorrow, Thursday, February 19th. Tomorrow, Thursday, February 19th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in conference room 229. And we'll begin our agenda with SB 2710 relating to animals. This measure defines a dog breeder as any person who owns, possesses, controls, or otherwise has charge or custody of more than 10 dogs over the age of 12 months with intact sexual organs, and who sells, barters, or otherwise transfers more than 3 litters and more than 25 dogs per calendar year. It requires breeders to meet minimum standards of care, prohibits any person from owning or having custody of more than 30 dogs in 1 year with intact organs, requires breeders to maintain specific records, authorizes each county to assess, implement, and enforce its own licensing system for dog breeders, requires persons convicted of animal cruelty to register with the Attorney General. Does a number of other things. First up, we have Public Defender in opposition. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Keho Kalole, Vice Chair Fukunaga. I'm Edward Aquino with the Office of the Public Defender. I know that we submitted written testimony, but I'd like to highlight a few things at this point in time. First of all, the Office of the Public Defender does not condone the mistreatment, neglect, or abuse of any animal. However, the Public Defender's Office believes that the focus should be on increased enforcement of existing laws paired with education and rehabilitation of offenders rather than increasing punishments. As such, we oppose SB 2710. I'd like to highlight three things. Number one, increasing the penalty for an offense does not deter the prohibited conduct. In its publication, 5 Things About Deterrence by the National Institute of Justice, set forth several relevant precepts regarding deterrence and essentially points out that increasing the severity of offenses listed in this bill and exposing violators to up to 20 years of imprisonment will not deter others from committing acts of animal abuse. 2, the legislator's objective should be channeling resources to enforcing existing laws and focusing on education and rehabilitation of offenders. Instead of increasing the penalties for existing animal cruelty offenses, a more productive approach would be to maintain enforcement of existing laws and to focus on educating and rehabilitating offenders using non-carceral and non-punitive practices. And finally, enforcement goes hand in hand with education. If laws are not enforced, increasing penalties will just be a paper tiger. On many occasions, reports of animal abuse go uninvestigated or unprosecuted. From my experience alone, I'm a felony public defender, supervising the felony division public defender for 26 years. The last time I did an animal cruelty case was in Maui, 2021. So it's rare. For many of us, this is a rare enforcement. So we believe that enforcement is really vital in this case instead of increasing the penalties. So we believe the legislator should consider increased funding for animal welfare organizations as well, with the specific purpose of increasing resources dedicated to the enforcement of any welfare laws. As such, we oppose SB 2710, and we thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Attorney General's office with comments. I believe he's down in the Judiciary Committee, so if he comes up before we finish this calendar, I think we'll allow him to testify. Hawaii Humane Society online in support. Good morning.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair. Stephanie Kendrick with the Hawaiian Humane Society. This measure addresses a lot of issues that have been legislative priorities for us for some time now. Pet breeding is completely unregulated in our state, and starting with dog breeders would be a great first step to try and get some transparency on animals being bred for profit. I will note that the provisions of this bill would not apply the regulation requirement to most hobby breeders. This bill only applies if you have more than 10 intact dogs and breed more than 3 litters a year. Most breed fanciers who are doing this as a hobby because they love a particular breed are not breeding anywhere near that volume of animals. So this would really only apply to folks who are breeding animals as a business. The Animal Abuser Registry is important because it would give the law enforcement system more transparency on animal crimes. These crimes are typically correlated to acts of interpersonal violence, so it really behooves law enforcement and social services to have some transparency on animal abuse in our community. We would recommend deleting the hoarding section. Hawaii had a hoarding law years ago that was allowed to sunset because it wasn't effective beyond the offenses we can already prosecute under our animal cruelty statute, and it can be used to unfairly punish sanctuaries, folks who have large numbers of animals but are taking very good care of them. So we would recommend removing the hoarding section, and we would also recommend, and it is in our testimony, some changes to escalating the penalties in animal cruelty second. And I will yield as I'm out of time, but happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have the American Kennel Club in opposition online. Good morning.
Good morning. Chair and members of the committee, my name is Bob Rilling-Smith with the American Kennel Club. While we strongly support combating animal cruelty, which is found in this bill, SB 2710, as written, unfortunately imposes arbitrary and one-size-fits-all restrictions that burden responsible breeders without actually improving animal welfare. The 30-dog cap and blanket breeding age restrictions and private registry screening mandates penalize responsible owners while actually failing to target bad actors. We urge the committee to instead focus on enforcing these animal cruelty laws, as has been mentioned in previous opposition testimony, and adopting outcome-based standards of care and ensuring any registry is administered by law enforcement specifically. The AKC stands ready to work with the legislature on targeted solutions. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Testifying for CARES, we have Angela Young with comments online.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure online or in the room or on the railing outside? Okay, in total, we had written testimony from 26 individuals and organizations in support, 14 in opposition, and 4 with comments. Members, any questions? Okay, I have a question for the Humane Society. Ms. Kendrick, are you there online?
I am here. There you go. Sorry.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is your bill or not, but the
it's
bill
not.
proposes a county facilitated license. And I'm just wondering, I don't remember asking this last year when we heard a similar measure, but why the county versus the State Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, which has a professional licensing division?
Yeah, it's not our bill, Chair. So I can't speak to the logic of that. What I can say from past experience on similar bills is that the state doesn't want to be the authority enforcing a measure like this, enforcing breeder regulation. So that could be why that responsibility was given to the counties. And of course, it would be something of an unfunded mandate for us. Hawaiian Humane, for listeners who aren't aware, is the county animal services contractor for Honolulu. But it's such an important issue to us that I think that's something that we would be willing to take on. And if the committee is going to advance this bill, I would also be happy to reach out to my neighbor island counterparts and see if that's something they would be willing to take on as well. But that's my guess, is both Department of Agriculture and DCCA in prior years have strongly objected to be given this responsibility.
Right, okay. That explains it. Thank you very much. Any other questions? If not, thank you. We'll move on to the next measure. SB 2209 relating to rental discrimination. This measure allows the court to award attorney's fees to a prevailing party in an action relating to discriminatory practices in a rental transaction based on source of income. The only testifier we have signed up is from the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission in support online. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Kehoho Kalole, Vice Chair Fukunaga, members of the committee, Marcus Kawatachi, Executive Director of the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission. We stand on our written testimony in support of this measure. I am here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the registered testimony we have. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Members, questions for the Civil Rights Commission? Okay, if not, we'll move on to SB 2884 relating to taxation. This measure establishes a non-refundable individual income tax credit for a certain percentage of expenses paid to retrofit a residence with wind-resistive devices or to purchase, install, or construct a hurricane shelter on the taxpayer's property. First up, DCCA online with comments. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Jamie Yamamoto on behalf of the Insurance Division. So we stand on our written testimony in support, available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Department of Taxation with comments.
Chair,
Vice Chair, Committee Member Garrison for the Department of Taxation. We'll stand on our written comments providing testimony on administration. I'm here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Emergency Management Agency in support. Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Commission in support. Sherry Pollack, Michael Plowman in support, and Kapua Kili Kamai in support online.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure? Members, questions? Oh, do we have Dr. Keone Dudley? Well, he's
Yes,
also
they are
in
on
support.
Zoom, Chair.
Sorry?
They are on Zoom, Chair.
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, the hurricanes are getting much, much stronger, because of warming seas. And the spawning area for hurricanes over by Mexico has moved northward, and we're right in the path now. This last season in the Atlantic, 3 out of the 5 hurricanes were Category 5. That's the strongest kind of hurricane. We need to start preparing for it. We've gone to the legislature for years now and have gotten no results. We really desperately need this. And it's not just money for people to fortify their homes. It's also for apartment buildings to fortify, for new apartment buildings to be built and get a tax break for building it to Category 5, and most importantly, it's for tax breaks for starting to build concrete homes. And all of our homes right now are wooden. And if we take a look at what happened with Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica, those homes are just destroyed. We have nowhere to go. Have 187,000 wooden homes and no shelters for those families. We just need to start doing things. And this bill is a bill that does things, and I really ask you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you just confirm your name and position again so we have it?
Okay, it's Dr. Keone Dudley. I don't represent anybody, but I did make a 1-hour video that showed on TV 10 times a year ago or so. And I've really been following this hurricane issue for a long time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else online or in the room who would like to testify on this measure, SB 2884? Members, questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the last measure on this agenda, SB 2922, relating to cooperative associations. This measure establishes a General Cooperative Associations Act to provide a unified, flexible legal framework for cooperatives to form for any lawful purpose. DCCA, Business Registration Division with comments online. Good morning.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Ty Nohara with Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Business Registration Division. We stand on our written testimony, offering comments, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Hawai'i Koapui in support.
Aloha mai. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Keone DeFranco, and I serve as the Managing Director of the Purple Maya Foundation, as well as a co-founder of the Hawai'i Koapui. I respectfully submit strong support for SB 2922 as amended. Cooperatives are good for Hawaii's economy. They keep ownership local and wealth circulating in our communities. They create quality jobs, stabilize small businesses, and strengthen rural and agricultural and Native Hawaiian communities. Last May, we convened the inaugural Hawaii Cooperative Hui Gathering, bringing together more than 60 participants from across the islands. Since then, the Hawaii Co-op Hui has grown to over 80 active members, organizing peer training and supporting new cooperative formation statewide. Following conversations with DCCA, we amended this bill to ensure it builds on and clarifies existing Chapter 421C rather than creating a new regulatory structure. And I'm not sure that that amended bill was posted online. SB 2922 as amended expands the chapter from consumer cooperative associations to cooperative associations organized for any lawful purposes. It formally recognizes worker co-ops, producer co-ops, and multi-sector co-ops while preserving safeguards. Consumer co-ops reference membership in grocery stores and other retail stores and is not the proper pathway for incorporation of worker cooperatives and other forms which we are actively working to encourage. This amended approach mirrors reforms adopted in other states, such as California, that have modernized and expanded their consumer cooperative statutes to encompass all general cooperatives. This bill provides a legal structure needed for locally owned enterprises to grow and contribute to a more diversified, resilient Hawaii economy. I respectfully urge your support on this amended measure. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Kelly Teamy for Enliven Cooperative and Support Online. Good morning.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Kelly Teamy. I'm the director and co-founder of the Enliven Cooperative in Hilo, and I'm also an active member of the cooperative Hui. I am testifying in strong support of SB 2922. Over the past 3.5 years, I've worked directly with more than 20 cooperatives across 5 of our islands in agriculture, aquaculture, housing, energy, and water. In 2025, we helped convene the first ever statewide co-op gathering with more than 65 kama'aina. From across the state. The demand is urgent and it's growing. However, our current cooperative laws have really not kept pace. While Chapter 421C does offer some flexibility, it is written specifically for consumer co-ops, meaning that worker-owned, producer, ag, and multi-stakeholder co-ops have to subvert the current statute stated purpose to use it. Legal service providers that I've consulted with, that we've consulted with, have consistently raised concerns about organizing non-consumer co-ops under this framework, creating confusion, added risk, and cost for the communities who can least afford it. SB 2922 solves this by establishing a modern unified legal framework so that communities can form co-ops for any legal purpose without legal ambiguity. As stated, and with lots of research backing this up, cooperatives keep wealth, jobs, and decision-making in local hands. And SB 2922 really gives our communities the foundation that they deserve. I respectfully urge you to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Farmers Union, Hunter Hevelin, in support online.
Thank you, Chair. Hunter Hevelin here on behalf of Hawaii Farmers Union. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify. Cooperatives have actually been a core aspect of the National Farmers Union since its foundation. And we've seen the myriad benefits that they've afforded agricultural communities across the nation for over a century. As highlighted in previous testimony, the simple shift that we're seeking is to have clarity in the language of the existing law to properly encompass the scope of cooperatives as they can form. In some data analysis of existing cooperatives registered with the state, there's a heavy leaning towards agriculture, and we view the benefits that membership of our national organization have already experienced for decades as something that would be ideal to extend to other sectors of the economy. And whether that's through worker cooperatives, multi-stakeholder, or otherwise, we view this as a simple measure and an important measure to clarify, right? As a corollary, if our LLC law said you could be a consumer LLC and that was the structure, it would be confusing. And so we view this as essentially, as again mentioned, following the practice of many other states by providing the legal clarity by stating that this is a general cooperatives statute and making the necessary modifications. In my testimony, we provided an attempt to modify the existing statute to reflect that as opposed to putting in a new one. And we look forward to working with DCCA or this committee if further amendments or edits to that proposed amendment are necessary. Happy to answer any questions, and mahalo again for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. That's all the registered testimony we have. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure? Okay, seeing none. In total, we have 38 pieces of written testimony in support, and 4 offering comments. Members, any questions? Vice Chair?
Perhaps for, let me see, Mr. DeFranco, the testimony that was provided by Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs really sort of seeks to redirect, your group's focus to the existing statute. And was your testimony intended to respond to DCCA's concerns?
It was, yes. And so we had drafted an amended bill that focuses on the 421C statute. And so the amended bill suggests expanding what is the consumer cooperative statute to just a cooperative associate, or the consumer cooperative association statute to just a cooperative association statute, which would then expand into allowing worker cooperatives and multi-stakeholder to be under the same statute rather than introducing new ones.
Okay, I didn't see the amended bill, attached to your testimony, so if you could provide that to the
It should be
committee.
in Hunters under Hawaii Farmers Union, and there was an attempt to send it to the committee ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it should be attached to the Hawaii Farmers Union. And we did attempt to get it to DCCA ahead of time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Members, any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll recess for decision making. Okay, reconvening for decision making on this 9:30 a.m. agenda. The first measure is SB 2710 relating to animals. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. We will blank the license fee amount, delete the registration of animal abusers provisions. We'll strike the animal hoarding provisions as brought up in the testimony. We'll also strike the requirement for shelters, pet stores, and breeders to check for compliance with animal abuse registration. We'll take out the proposed changes on the criminal penalty provisions, make technical non-substantive amendments, and defect the effective date of this measure to July 1, 2050. Members, any questions or comments? Okay, if not, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Of the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Next measure is SB 2209 relating to rental discrimination. The recommendation is to pass with a defective effective date of July 1, 2050. Any discussion? Okay, if not, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Next measure is SB 2884 relating to taxation. The recommendation is to pass with the Department of Taxation's proposed amendments and to defect the effective date of this measure to July 1, 2050. Any discussion? Okay, if not, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. The last measure on this agenda is SB 2922 relating to cooperative associations. Recommendation on this measure is to pass with amendments, adopting the proposed changes recommended by in the testimony submitted of the Hawaii Farmers Union, and to defect the effective date of this bill to July 1, 2050 to keep the conversation moving. Any questions or comments, members? Seeing none, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the members present, any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. We're adjourned. Okay, good morning and welcome. to the Hawaii State Senate. This is our 9:45 a.m. Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 joint committee hearing agenda between the Committees on Commerce and Consumer Protection and the Committee on Transportation. We're in room 229, hearing SB 2694 relating to water carriers. This measure authorizes the PUC to establish automatic adjustment mechanisms to address economic factors sua sponte or on application by a water carrier. I'd like to note for everyone in the room, this is the third of 7 agendas in this committee for today. We need to adjourn this committee hearing at 11:15 so we can make it down to our floor session, and there is a deadline tomorrow. We observe a 2-minute testimony time limit in this committee to allow everyone the opportunity to express themselves. If you intended to come and read your testimony verbatim, we have provided it all to the committee and I've reviewed all of it. So if that's what you were planning, we would ask you to summarize. And for the professionals in the room, please stand on your testimony. If we have questions, you guys know that we'll ask you afterward. First up, we have the Division of Consumer Advocacy, DCCA, with comments.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. Mike Angelo, Executive Director. We stand on our written testimony. Available for questions, providing comments. Thank you.
Thank you for standing on your testimony. PUC with comments. Good morning.
Morning, Chairs, Vice Chairs, members of the Joint Committee. John Itamura, Chair for the PUC. We stand on our written testimony, available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dab in support.
Thank you, Chair. Dab stands on the written testimony and support here for any questions.
Thank you for standing on your testimony. Young Brothers in support. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. I'm David Veltri, Associate General Counsel for Young Brothers, and I work on regulatory and legal matters, and I'll try and keep this very quick. We support this because we need to modernize the regulatory framework for water carriers. The current framework hasn't been meaningfully updated in decades, and essentially what's happening is there's a balance that's supposed to be taking place where Young Brothers provides safe, reliable, efficient service to customers, and in exchange, Young Brothers able to recover its reasonable costs and its a reasonable return on its investment. And the way that this happens is through a process called a rate case. And when there's a rate case, it can often get very long and contentious and complex and take lots of time and resources from both Young Brothers and the state participants, both the PUC and the consumer advocate. So what this measure is trying to do is implement this mechanism called the WICI mechanism, which was the top recommendation of the Hawaii Water Carrier Working Group. And there are guardrails on it. It's a predictable annual rate adjustment that's tied to an existing Department of Transportation Maritime benchmark for fee changes. It's capped at 5%, and it's paired with mandatory full rate reviews every 3 years. So we don't have to worry about runaway rate, automatic rate increases. And I'll just leave it at that. So this is just to help restore the balance. So thanks for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much.
Available for questions.
Thank you. We actually have 3 testifiers signed up in support from Young Brothers: Chris Nakagawa, Jennifer Lim, Ashley Kishimoto. Dave, are you all 3?
We're just going to stand on our testimony.
Okay. Okay, great. So if there are questions from the committee, all 3 of you can come up and answer. Okay, great. We have William Annenson from the Maritime Group in support online.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. We have Lauren Zerbel of the Hawaii Food Industry Association in opposition online.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning. We will stand on our testimony in opposition. Just to note, we represent over 200 member companies, retailers, suppliers, producers, farmers, manufacturers. We all agree that this bill will have a negative impact on the cost of food. 1 in 3 people cannot afford to buy enough food. So we would advise you to please not pass this measure and work on a more consumer-friendly approach. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Frank Guerrero in support. Yeah, but they didn't sign. Is that, do we have anyone else in the room or online or on the railing who would like to testify on this measure, SB 2694? Okay, in total we had, in terms of written testimony, 173 organizations and individuals submit testimony in support, 5 in opposition and 3 with comments. Members, are there any questions? Senator Elefante.
Question for the PUC, Mr. Itamura. Thank you, Chair. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, and also with me is our utility analyst, Andrew Okabe.
Okay, so Mr. Tamura, the last rate increase was in November, a little north of 26 million, is that correct?
Correct.
And when was the last time the prior rate increase occurred prior to 2025? Do you know?
Yes, we do.
So the last increase would be the 2020 test year. I believe it was in 2020. We provided emergency rate increase at that time. Then it became permanent.
Okay, and then in the PUC's decision, there was a stay out for 2 years.
Correct.
And that's determined by the PUC. Basically, Young Brothers couldn't come forward for another rate increase. Would that be my understanding of that?
Correct.
Okay. However, in DCCA's testimony, it did say that they could sort of come back. I don't know if I read that correctly. Could be revisited. In doing so, the commission specifically stated that such an adjustment mechanism could be revisited at an appropriate time in the second bullet point on page 3.
Okay, if I understand your question as it relates to the language of the current measure, it does provide for avenues of the commission's review.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions?
Yes, just when we mentioned the dates, there was a lull for about 2 years. Is that when the working group met then? Just about that time?
The dates
The
of,
task force? Between the rate increase and you just kind of mentioned for 2 years, maybe he can answer.
Wait.
I was just wondering if during that time, is that when the working group was in progress?
Yes, your recollection of the events are correct, Chair Noy. We did have the working group meet during that time, during the period of that emergency rate increase period.
And hence that's when we all worked on the wiki process, and that's what's before us, because there was nothing made a decision by the PUC on the wikis.
correct, that was
Yeah.
prior to the most recent rate case.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, members? Okay, I have a question for the CA. Mr. Angelo, you note in your testimony uncertainty regarding whether or not indices like the CPI, Consumer Price Index, or the GDPPI, Gross Domestic Product Price Index, are sufficient for the purposes of the rate adjustment mechanism. Can you explain why, and can you explain the difference between the CPI and the GDPPI?
GDPPI is, well, they're two different indices, and they represent different things. They're both measures of inflation adjustment. CPI is a basket of goods that somebody would go out and purchase. It's not necessarily applicable to costs that a utility might incur. GDPPI is a different index, and I would have to get back to you on the exact things that go into that, but it's not specific to the cost that the price increases that a utility would incur.
Because
It's more broad.
Okay. And I guess if you can just clarify from your testimony, I mean, what's the significance of your concern?
Well, the big concern is if the utility is granted an automatic adjustment mechanism, those mechanisms typically are approved. They're things, they already have a fuel adjustment clause, for example. And those adjustment mechanisms are typically for things that are large, volatile, unpredictable costs. And the reason that they exist is because they're typically outside of the utility's control. In this case, there's things like that are arguably more controllable, like labor, for example, that can be, the utility should have the ability to have an idea of what those costs are and take corrective steps to become more efficient. So if they're given a automatic adjustment clause, it removes the incentive to be more efficient in their operations.
Okay, thank you. Young Brothers. Yeah, if you could just briefly respond to that concern that if we put in an automatic, mechanism, that consumers might, worry about the removal of an incentive for you guys to be efficient.
Yeah, so I will start by saying 2 points. So there's guardrails on this that were specifically designed to address this concern, and the main one that addresses this concern is that there's a mandatory rate case every third year. So there's no like unlimited automatic runaway rate increases. Every third year, we're going to be back in front of the PUC and the CA for them to review what our rates should be, regardless of what inflation has been. And that's not optional, that's mandatory. That's part of the design that the stakeholders came up with in the Hawaii Water Carrier Working Group. And with respect to incentives to save, to manage costs better, we're under new management now. We hear the PUC and the CA loud and clear. We need to manage our costs better, and we're working hard to do that. The gap is really big right now between costs and rates, and it's just growing a lot faster than it has traditionally for traditional public utilities in the water carrier industry. There's a lot more competition now, and because of this gap, we need to pull all levers. We gotta cut costs internally, and we need to have something to just help us get a little bit closer to what rates should be between these long, complex, and contentious rate cases. And this is our Director of Finance. I don't know if she has anything to add to what I just said.
Good morning.
State your name.
I'm Ashley Kishimoto, Director of Finance at Young Brothers. Just to add what David Veltri has discussed, these small, predictable rate increases, annual rate increases, really allow us an opportunity to really, have a predictable and to build in these rate increases, especially for our customers, instead of having this, a large increase that's delayed over, a 3, 4, 5-year period. This allows us to have more predictable, more stability. I think that both our customers, our financiers, the public is looking for in general.
Thank you. PUC, please.
You know what? Can I ask them just one question? Just a comment to add. But you're obligated, and this was, I think, mandated in part of PUC's regulation, for your infrastructure, for your delivery service to the neighbor islands in particular. That's all you do anyway. That your infrastructure is kept up in its conditions. Every so many years, it's not like, well, the airlines has a little more leverage because they can use their aircrafts a much longer period, but your barges do not. And with the plans for making sure that your delivery services on the barges are kept up for several years, but your infrastructure, your barges can't last for 20-something years. So in your plans to make improvements, you're stuck because you need to make sure that the barges are able to take the goods so that the neighbor islands can receive their goods accordingly. Is that correct?
I can't speak to comparisons to the airline industry, but it's true that our any maritime vessel, whether it's Young Brothers tugs and barges or otherwise, requires a lot of maintenance, and it's very costly maintenance. They do last a long time as individual assets, but getting them to last that long requires a lot of funding.
And you've made that investments in the last several years.
We absolutely have to make those investments because not just to keep running the service, but to be safe and reliable, and also just to meet Coast Guard regulations and things like that. It's very expensive, yes.
It's my understanding, yes, that Coast Guard is part of the process.
Yes.
Now, I understand, as Young Brothers, don't you have a new inventory coming in for replacements? Or you already received it on the barges?
2 new barges.
2 new barges.
Yes.
Is on order or?
They're in service.
Okay. And when's your next inventory coming in for changes?
New
Now
vessels.
yes, new vessels.
I don't think we have anything.
We do not have any new plan.
Okay, so the last 2 should take care of your issues. But you still have payments to do, right?
We still continually have to invest in routine maintenance of these vessels to make sure they remain compliant with Coast Guard regulations, as well as just routine maintenance. Our barges, before we took delivery in December 2024, those 2 new barges, we had a really old barge fleet.
I saw them as well.
Yes, so some of these new replacement vessels were replacing older leased vessels that we did return subsequent to taking delivery of a.
And that was part of the discussions with the working group at that time, but it was pre-purchase of your new barges. I mean, there was concerns during that time, how often do you need, to replace your barges?
Yeah, it's an ongoing concern, like what is the proper decision? Do you keep sinking more and more money replacing an aging fleet, or at what point do you replace? So those are the sorts of things that get looked at in a rate case with the PUC and the CA, and they have full review of those things. And that's the sort of thing that would be recurring every 3rd year if this bill were to pass.
Is your inventory current to take care of the deliveries to the neighbor islands? And why I say that is because of the weather climate that we've had in the last couple of days, you were delayed delivering services. Was it to Hilo or Kauai or Molokai?
Yeah.
You had a delay, I think, at Kauai because, so your inventory for barge deliveries is sufficient to carry on for whatever your plans are?
I would say the fleet is sufficient. However, there's always unexpected events that we, can't necessarily recover from just by having enough vessels. For example, if the weather is bad or the seas are particularly rough, that might be a delay for safety reasons.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. PUC, please.
Oh, yes.
I have a
Your
follow-up.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Just one question. Thank you, Chairs. So prior to your last rate increase, was Young Brothers operating at a loss or at a profit?
The rate increase in November?
Yes.
Or became effective this year?
Correct.
January 1st? Well, it was a long period of time. Part of that, we were operating, you can speak to it better than me, but for part of it, we were operating at a profit, and for the more recent part of it, we were operating at an extreme loss.
So 2025, we have not, have finalized our audited financial statements yet, but we're looking at about a $23 million loss in 2025. And prior to that, in 2024, we had close to a $14 million loss.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Young Brothers? Okay, thank you very much. PUC, please. Do you foresee, if this bill were to pass, do you foresee some certainty applied to the rate case timeline, which has been the uncertainty in terms of the timeline of rate cases has been a continual complaint of regulated utilities?
Well, given the 3-year period, there's some certainty to that.
Well, there's some certainty that you're going to get a rate case, but I know the question is whether we can read in some certainty on how long the rate case will take.
Oh,
because if you after 3 years you get a 2.5-year rate case, then I don't know that we're adding a whole lot of value with the passage of a measure like this.
Sitting here today, I would make a commitment that the rate case will not take 2.5 years. That we understand the intent of this measure and acknowledge the condition that YB faces annually. So there's at least, again, per my commitment, it would not be a protracted long rate case proceeding.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, can we go into decision making?
Yes.
Okay, members will go into decision making on this measure, having conferred with Co-Chair Inoue. The recommendation is to pass this measure out with amendments. What we're going to do is defect the effective date of this measure to July 1, 2050, as it is proceeding to Ways and Means afterward. And we're going to add in a 7-year sunset provision, which would allow 2 of those 3-year rate case cycles, plus an additional year, in which we hope a second rate case will come to a conclusion, and the legislature can contemplate the continuation or sunset of this mechanism. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, CPN,
Yes.
Yeah,
Senator Elefante.
Thank you, Chairs. I appreciate the recommendation. However, I still have concerns as raised from DCCA and the PUC, so I'll be voting with reservations. Thank you.
So noted. If there are no other concerns, Vice Chair, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye.
Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay. For the Committee on Transportation, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2694 with amendments. Any discussions for the Committee on Transportation? Hearing none, Vice Chair, for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2694. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye with reservation. Senator Kanuha. Aye. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Decourt.
No.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, this is our 10:07 a.m. decision-making agenda in the Commerce and Consumer Protection Committee for SB 2760 relating to invasive species. This measure was jointly heard by our committee and the Agriculture and Environment Committee last week. As AEN deferred action on the measure and hasn't made a recommendation and won't until this afternoon, we will defer action on this measure until tomorrow, Thursday, February 19th, 2026 in room 229 at 10 o'clock a.m. We're adjourned. Okay.
A joint hearing with Senate Committees on Economic Development and Tourism and Commerce and Consumer Protection. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. This is our 10:05 a.m. agenda. We're in conference room 229. Hearing is being streamed live on YouTube, and like the event, we must abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties. The committee will reconvene on Thursday, February 19th, 2026 at 1:05 p.m. in conference room 229. We have a 1-minute time limit for all testifiers. If you can, we've read all of your testimonies. If you could please stand on your testimonies, and we can move forward. First up, Department of Taxation, Senate Bill 2362 relating to taxation.
Good morning, Clinton Department of Taxation will stand on our comments.
Thank you. Next up, Chris Cofield testifying to Hawaii Pacific Hawaii Public Health Institute.
Aloha, chairs and committee members. I'm Chris Cofield from the Hawaii Public Health Institute. We're in support of this measure. I just want to start by saying that the legislature passed a measure that's very similar to this in 2019. We hope you will do so again this year. At a time when we're facing massive federal budget crunch that's significantly impacting public health and healthcare services, we're in very strong support of this because we know you need to generate revenue in order to strengthen our social safety net. REITs are things, REITs are large real estate investment trusts, companies that own some of the most valuable assets in Hawaii, things like Hilton Hawaiian Village, Ala Moana, Alexander and Baldwin. They pass up to 90% of their profits, which are up to $20 billion a year annually, to shareholders who often live out of state. So we ask where that money goes. A lot of the profits that REITs are generating, a lot of that $20 billion is flowing out of our islands to out-of-state investors. They don't pay corporate income taxes, and often their shareholders don't pay local income taxes on those profits. So this is money that's just flowing out of our state untaxed. This measure would generate an estimated $30 to $60 million by closing that loophole. So we think this is about fairness and fiscal responsibility at this moment in time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Nicole Wu, sorry, on Zoom.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. Thank you. I'm with Hawaii Children's Action Network Speaks. And we know that this is a tight budget year, and we're very concerned that we might be facing social service cuts and other budget problems. As Chris mentioned, Alexander and Baldwin, they're a REIT. They became a REIT about almost 9 years ago. Prince Kahio Plaza in Hilo, Whalers Village, Fairmont Kealani on Maui, Ritz-Carlton at Turtle Bay, Hilton Hawaiian Village, Ala Moana Center. So many of our luxury properties are REITs, and they have a special tax loophole that says they don't have to pay corporate income tax if they pay dividends, at least 90% dividends. So their shareholders mostly live out of state. They're paying income tax to other states, and meanwhile, our state is not getting corporate income tax off of these properties. It's a huge tax loophole. We really hope that you'll close it this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Young-Hee Overly with Indivisible Hawaii.
Good morning, this is Young Yobali from Individual Hawaii. We stand on our testimony and strong support.
Thank you. Next up, Evan O with NAIOP Hawaii.
Chair, we stand on our testimony.
Thank you. Next up, Laurie Lum. Testimony for
Good
Doug
morning,
Sam.
Laurie Lam on behalf of Douglas Summit, will stand on our testimony in opposition as the bill will eliminate important source of capital for workforce housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Gladys Maroon, Narit, Hawaii.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members, Gladys Maroney, Narit, Hawaii, in strong opposition. This bill would lower returns and dividends for 695,000 of Hawaii's pension holders as ERS invests an estimated $183 million in public REITs. It would jeopardize the construction of a new hotel tower that would generate 2,400 worker years of construction jobs, over $150 million in local wages, and over $22.5 million in GET and other taxes. REITs support 18,000 full-time jobs and $1.2 billion in consumer spending. They hold their assets for long-term, continually investing tens of millions, working with local companies and labor. Any revenue gains would be offset by losses in GET, jobs, and future capital investment, which Hawaii cannot afford to lose. There have been conflicting revenue estimates over the years, so we would be open to a comprehensive study that also analyzes macroeconomic factors. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Next up, Lindsay Garcia with Hawaii Realtors. On Zoom. In person, in opposition. Next up, Tom Yachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii, on Zoom.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Next up, Alan Patterson with Extra Space Storage, in opposition. Galen Fox, in support.
Chair, Vice Chair, members, chairs, vice chairs, members. I'm speaking on behalf of Church of the Crossroads. Corporations profiting off living in Hawaii pay a corporate tax. REITs, they send their money to shareholders on the mainland. Tax Department says they've now got the data based on previous legislation. $27 million is on the ground there in taxes, or that amount of money can be collected from people who are making money off the REITs. That money shouldn't go to the mainland. It should be collected here for the people of Hawaii. Money is earned here. They're using our services. They're using our people. And that money should stay here. Hawaii can't be beat. People will always invest
Sir,
here.
your time is up. Can you wrap it up? Thank you. I think we have DOE tax online. Go ahead. Not DOE tax, Tax Foundation, sorry.
Sorry, Chair, that was for another testifier.
Oh, okay, thank you. Hawaii Lisette, in opposition. So we got numerous people in support and opposition for this measure. Anybody? Oh, John. John, was that you on Zoom? IT, can you bring John back in on Zoom, please? Kawamoto.
Yes, Chair, I'm just waiting for him.
Thank you.
Sorry about my video. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, John.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, my name is John Kawamoto. I support SB 2362. REITs are for-profit corporations that own vast amounts of property in Hawaii. NAREIT previously argued that applying Hawaii's corporate income tax to REITs would amount to double taxation. That false claim was exposed, so they have moved on to other arguments. The bottom line is that REITs want to enjoy the benefits of doing business in Hawaii, but they do not want to contribute their fair share. NAREIT claims that taxing them may discourage investment. New Hampshire is the only state that taxes REITs. Yet, NAREIT's own data show that REIT investment in New Hampshire is higher than in the neighboring rural states of Vermont and Maine that do not tax REITs. It has been estimated that a tax on REITs would raise about $50 million, which could be used to support food security, affordable housing, and healthcare. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Next up, Scott Weiner, Parks, Hotels, Resorts, in opposition, Ana Tuya Sosopo, Engineers Local Operating 3, in opposition, Mabel Leong, in opposition, Devin Thomas, Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law, in support, A. Alcock testifying for Optros, in opposition, Jeffrey Kaufman, Host Hotels and Resorts Incorporated, in opposition, John Mills, Vice President Tax Compliance, Simon Property Group, in opposition, Nathan A. Vitan, Public Storage, in opposition. You want to speak on his behalf? Thank you. Lee Wang, testifying for Housing Hawaii's Future, in opposition. Madeline McKeague, in support for Hawaiian Council. Ted Kafalas, in opposition for Grassroots Institute. Benjamin Sadowski, Unite Here Local 5, in support. Brent Kikasako, Hackbed, in support. John Frost, ACLU, in support. And Jonathan Pong, Realty Income Corporation, and NAREIT, in opposition. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing, hi, Pane.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Pane Milton III, Deputy Political Director for Operating Engineers Local 3. I believe you have my boss's written testimony in opposition. Just wanted to reemphasize two things. One is that a lot of our operating engineers Local 3 pensions do invest into REIT projects here in the state. Has been a key source for us. Passing of this bill would cause our investment people to reevaluate if Hawaii is something that we can invest through REITs. The second point I wanted to make is that we're already hearing from the REIT developers that projects that have already been permitted will be canceled. So that's a concern for me and my guys. Just wanted to reemphasize those points. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to testify on the measure? Seeing none, members, any questions? Question for dual tax.
Clinton Piper.
Aye. Clinton, the bill states that the tax revenue that will be foregone in the 2026 taxable year is $26,800,000. Besides the revenue foregone, how much in gross revenues do REITs in Hawaii generate for the economy?
I don't have those numbers. We do have an analyst that is assigned currently to draft the numbers and of the revenue estimate of this bill. We do anticipate that we will have that ready by the time this gets to a money committee, but I don't have those numbers and able to address this at this time.
Thank you. Senator Wakai.
Mr. Piper, you know, this body offers tax credits for all kinds of laudable endeavors. Like, for example, we have the solar tax credit. How many millions of dollars does that take out of the economy?
I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, sorry.
Okay. I mean, at one time, I know it was like $120 million. It's been lowered as more and more people have gotten tax credits. I think the last figure I saw was in the neighborhood of $42 million. We offer tax credits for the film industry to the tune of $50 million. You're asking for $60 million. Yesterday, we heard a bill about sustainable aviation fuel. They want $20 million. I mean, there's a state interest in us utilizing tax breaks or credits to help spur economic development, correct?
That is one of the tools that the legislature has, correct?
Okay. So this idea of $26 million that might be captured by us levying a tax on the REITs would go counter to the efforts that the legislative body makes in trying to entice investment and business development in the state.
That would be a decision for the policy concerns. I understand that there are policy concerns here. The Department of Taxation's more concerned about the ability to administer the bill. Matters of policy and whether this is a laudable or not laudable goal will defer to the legislator and the other testifiers on.
Thank you.
Senator Kim.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm not sure who can answer this, but according to the Tax Foundation of Hawaii, it says that this bill is somewhat similar to SB 301 that was done in 2019, which was passed by the Ledge, but was vetoed by the governor amid concerns that enactment of the measure could chill investments in Hawaii and dry up the availability of already scarce capital to Hawaii projects. Do we know how different this bill is compared to what was vetoed? Anybody know?
I don't, I apologize, I'm covering this, so I did not have time to research prior years. I do have a recollection of that bill. However, I don't have a comparison of the exact language, but I do recall that that bill was vetoed.
Maybe Gladys?
Gladys, do you know? Do you know, have an answer to that question? Come.
I'm sorry, if this bill is similar to the one passed in
2019. Senate
vetoed.
Yeah,
Senate
it
Bill
was actually
301.
before my time, but I believe it was to the same, eliminate the dividends paid deduction.
So the same thing. Do we know of anything that has changed between 2019 and now that it would not chill investments?
That it,
Well,
based
according
on what the
Governor
rationale of the
ve-
governor?
Yeah, he vetoed it
No,
based
it
on
would
that.
still be a deterrent to future capital investment.
Okay. In addition to the names like Almona Shopping Center and A and B, what are some of the projects that is more like workforce development that are in our communities?
Well, Lori Lam testified, Douglas Emmett does a lot of workforce housing and affordable housing. They've done university housing. They rely on rental income, so that's the, but yeah, so there's, and Bishop Square, not Bishop Square, 1132.
So maybe Lori, we
Yeah,
can have Lori come up.
No, that's fine. Senator, so Douglas Emmett currently owns over 2,500 workforce rental apartments, and in the past several years, they've invested $100 million to convert office property that they had in downtown Honolulu to 500 more rental apartments. And then they are currently in the planning stage for 4 more residential towers and up to an additional rental units near downtown for their Wai'ana property. So as you know, they have property in Wanalua,
Right.
they have Wai'ana, and they are a REIT. So they currently do housing in California and Hawaii. So obviously, a bill like this would disincentivize to continue those, disincentivize those to continue projects in this state. They would just put more into
Well,
what they're doing in
someone said that
California.
there's projects that already been approved that they may walk away from. Is that real, or is that just?
I am not aware of Douglas Emmett pulling out on anything right now. Like I said, our right now for, we've just finished our downtown conversion. And we are in the planning stages for future development.
Okay, they did submit a testimony that says that with this bill, we would lose one of the most best sources of capital to build workforce housing and improve our communities, and this is from Douglas Emmett. So,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Correct. Thank you.
Senator Favela.
Yeah, just clarification. We just was talking about Ala Moana. The reason why I bring this up is because, again, it's jobs. Yeah, with the whole thing with Ala Moana, don't get me wrong. I don't agree about how the REITs are set up, but it also brings jobs on what they have on the development side of the community. Because how long Ala Moana was, that project? That was a very big project. How long the project was?
I couldn't answer that for you, but I could find out and get.
Yeah,
back
can
to
you get back with us? Because I know that job kept on extending and extending and extending. So they did a lot of investment within the community. And then not only that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't shop Ala Moana, too expensive for me, but it brought jobs to the community. So that's my concern. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Sorry, I just wanted to follow that line of questioning for you folks. Close or neighboring to my district, there's Kamakana Ali'i. And how would this impact phase 2 of that build out? And if you guys have any, I don't know if you worked out with the unions to see how many jobs and things like that, that would also impact as well.
I know that, I believe OP Trust might own that property, and they have testified previously that the second phase of Kamakana, they would have to rethink, and that's in their written testimony. I don't know about the jobs, but we can get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Senator Owa.
Just for the record, not to anybody in general, but seeing the questioning up here, what good are investments in jobs if our people keep getting driven out because of REITs? I don't understand it. Thank you.
We're going to head into decision-making.
We'll make it downstairs. We get back on?
I can't, I gotta.
Oh, you got health?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I know you.
Okay, in regards to Senate Bill 2362, while there was significant testimony on both sides, we realized the important role REITs play in our economy, providing capital for housing development and so forth. Again, to realizing that funds that do leave the state and trying to figure out what amount of funds leave the state. The testimony on the bill, on this bill is divided. Both sides has raised many issues. So I recommend that we continue the discussion on this bill by passing an SD1 that would fund a study to be done by DBED that will consider the impacts of eliminating the dividend paid deductions for REITs, providing an appropriation of an unspecified amount, and by changing the effective date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair Kai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela. Aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
CPN, same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, and with that, we are adjourned.
Okay, good morning, reconvening. This is Wednesday, February 28th, 2026. This is the 10:06 a.m. agenda. It's a joint hearing between the CPN and HHS committees in the Hawaii State Senate. We are reconvening action on two measures that we were not able to get to on our agenda yesterday. We still had registered testifiers who did not submit testimony. We will complete testimony and take questions on those two measures, and then make recommendations on that, and then the remaining agenda from yesterday. So this is SB 3275 relating to cannabis. And the next registered testifier we had was Tina Yamaki of the Hawaii Transportation Association, online in opposition.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you very much. Shelby Pikachu Billionaire for the Kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands and Ohana Unity Party in support on Zoom.
Also not on Zoom.
Thank you.
Downstairs.
Nikos Leverance from the Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii in support.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Laverne Moore in opposition. Chanel Leilani Solomon in support. Myron Oshiro in opposition. Jennifer Fauch in opposition. Marion Logan in opposition. And that's all the registered testimony we had on this measure. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this bill, SB 3275?
We have Robert Benz on Zoom, Chair.
We have Chief Vanek in person, so we'll have the chief go first, followed by you online, Mr. Bruce, if you can stand by. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, chairs, vice chair, committee members. I'm Interim Chief Ravi Vanek of the Honolulu Police Department, testifying in opposition to Senate Bill 3275. I'll just summarize really quick. This bill presents significant public safety and enforcement challenges. First, obviously, impaired driving remains our primary concern. Increased legalization would increase impaired driving incidents. Second, there would be enforcement difficulties. Right now, it's impossible for officers to distinguish on the field between low dose potency and regular or high dose potency. Also, it would be challenging for officers to determine in the field whether a grow operation complies with plant limits. Third, the employment protections in this bill directly impact law enforcement agencies, especially for police officers who carry firearms, operate emergency vehicles, and make split-second decisions affecting life and safety. For these reasons, we respectfully urge caution and opposition to this measure. Thank you for the opportunity
very much.
to testify.
Mr. Bruce? Good morning.
Hello, chairs, vice chairs, Robert Bentz. I'm a member of the OMCCR's current Community Voices group and a longtime 329 patient testifying in support, but I submit a compromise with this bill. All cannabis is medicinal use, but there's different levels. So this could be great because what Hawaii can produce is very unique. Like coffee can only be grown here, but it should be at Schedule 3, tier. So the highest tier are like us that are disabled that really need it and can be studied and be done federally legal. And second tier current, and then a lower tier covers this. And we do it with hemp. We get fingerprinted FBI background check, and the Hilo could do the lab testing for free. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Bentz. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this measure? Okay, members, we have the Department of Health here and HPD and the Attorney General's office. Is there any member who has questions? Okay, if not, we'll move to the last measure on this regular agenda, SB 3105, relating to the Physician Assistant Licensure Compact. First up, we have Kelly Mae Douglas for the U.S. Defense State Liaison Office. In support, online. Good morning.
Aloha, yes. Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committees. My name is Kelly Mae Douglas, and I'm with the U.S. Defense State Liaison Office. We stand on our written support of the provisions reflected within SB 3105, which would enter Hawaii into the Physician Assistant Licensure Compact. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Medical Board in support.
Hawaii Medical Board stand on the written testimony and support the comments and recommendations.
Thank you very much. Christine Pagano, Department of Health Disability Communication Access Board in support. We also have Leocadia Conlon for the Hawaii Academy of PAs in support.
Yes, thank you, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. I stand on our testimony, but I also want to make a clarification and correction for my written testimony that said that we support with amendments. However, in my written testimony, I did not give those amendments. But as per the Council of State Governments and Compact Legal Review's review of the bill, there are changes that are needed to ensure that legislation is compliant with the compact model language. I can provide that information to the committee separately, as well as the contact for the National Center for Interstate Compacts, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you for this time.
Thank you very much. We also have supporting testimony from Mike Nguyen of Aloha Care and support from Ted Kafalas of the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on these measures? Okay, members, seeing none, we'll move into decision-making on these two measures. The recommendation on SB 3275 is to defer decision-making on this measure for the CPN committee to tomorrow Thursday, February 19th at 10 a.m. in this room, 225. And for HHS?
For HHS, we will defer decision-making to 1 p.m. today. Regular calendar. Or should I make it 1:05? Okay, 1:05 at room 225. At room 225.
Oh, just a clarification. We're gonna confuse people on the deferred agenda. So for CPN, we're gonna defer decision-making on this measure to tomorrow, Thursday, February 19th, 2026, in room 229 at 10:01 a.m. Just so that we don't confuse people on the agendas. Okay, and on the last measure, SB 3105, the recommendation on this measure is to move with a defective effective date of July 1, 2050. There are apparently some amendments that need to be made, but we need to keep this vehicle moving before the deadline or it will not proceed in the legislature this year. We also have technical non-substantive amendments. Those amendments can be submitted to the next committees who are jointly hearing this bill. If they elect to make changes, then they can request the committees provide prior concurrence. Any discussion?
That's fine. No discussion. So your
Right.
decision is to,
Pass with a defective date.
that's fine.
Okay.
Can you be mine?
Passing with the, passing with amendments, chair votes aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair also votes aye. Senator Lamassoure. Senators McKelvey and Awa are excused. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, for HHS, same recommendation. Pass with amendments.
Recommendation on 2690, correct? Or wait, what are we on?
What can you call it?
3105, SB 3105 to pass with amendments.
It was still on the agenda.
Chair San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator McKelvey is excused. I vote aye. Senator Keokalole.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, we're adjourned. Okay, thank you. Reconvening on the 10:06 a.m. agenda, joint agenda between the CPN and HHS committees. This is to make decisions on bills that were fully heard and testimony taken yesterday, but we needed to reconvene because we ran out of time in the committee. The first is SB 2421 relating to cannabis. After reviewing the testimony yesterday and having a discussion, the recommendation is to defer this measure in lieu of potential recommended action on another bill. And I will yield to the chair of HHS for the rest of the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. So for SB 2690 relating to primary care, Chair's recommendation is because it's overly complex. We are going to defer this, especially since we're going to need a sunrise analysis regarding the potential premium increase should we give our primary care physicians added reimbursement. So with those issues, we're going to defer SB 2690. For SB 3103, we're going to be passing this with amendments, blanking the appropriation, and noting in the committee report that DHS may already have $7 million for this program. Any comments, or $7.7 million according to their testimony. Any comments, questions, concerns, passed with amendments? Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye. Senator McKelvey is excused. I vote aye. Senator Keokalole.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, so.
CPN, same recommendation, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations or objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
For SB 3137, Chair's recommendation is to pass with department's amendments and technical non-substantive amendments needed for clarity and consistency. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Noting Senator McKelvey's excused absence, any other members voting with reservations or no votes? Chair recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. CPN, same recommendation, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, are there any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
So for SB 3164, I note AG's proposal to defer it. However, because as shown in the informational briefing last year, our child welfare service organizations are having difficulty getting insurance. Chair's recommendation is to pass this with AG's proposed amendment of removing Section 2, lines 4 to 14. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
With Senator McKelvey excused, any of the four members present with reservations or no votes? Reservations for Senator Favela. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
CPN, same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. For SB 3206, we really do want to help out our hemp farmers. However, the definition of hemp is in flux at this time. And there is, in lieu of potential movement on SB 3275, Chair at this time is gonna defer SB 3206. For SB 2933,
Oh, I'm sorry. CPN, same recommendation, defer SB 3206 and also defer SB 2690.
2690.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So for SB 2933, noting that Department of Health does not want to have the Prescription Drug Affordability Board within its authority, and noting that SHPTA is unwilling to, at this time, without appropriate appropriation, to have it, although they see the positive intent of this bill. We are going to defer it and request that the introducer submit a resolution to determine where the proper place for the Prescription Drug Affordability Board should be. So defer at this time, SB 2933.
CPN, same recommendation, defer.
Okay, so for SB 3133 relating to preventive medicine, Chair at this time is going to pass this with technical, non-substantive amendments needed for clarity and consistency. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Pass with amendments.
Pass with amendments. SB 3133, noting Senator McKelvey as excused. Any reservations or no votes for the four members present? Chair, recommendation is adopted.
CPN, same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations, objections? Hearing one no vote. Thank you. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
For SB 3315, Chair's recommendation is to pass this with amendments, changing the 2 ounce down to 1 ounce. I believe the OMCCR will be able to track using administrative rules as required. And noting also, just as a personal event that occurred where we really needed to have medical cannabis for a terminal relative of ours, where we tried every possible prescriptive ability. We really needed that one-time use. So for those reasons, I'm going to be passing with amendments bringing it down to 1 ounce until the passage, until registration. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none. Vice Chair for the vote, pass with amendments.
SB 3315, Chair's recommendation is passed with amendments of the 4 members present. Any reservations or no votes? Reservations for Senator Favela. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
CPN, same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Thank you. Of the CPN members present, any voting with reservations or no votes? Okay. Your recommendation is adopted.
And with that, we don't have any more bills, so we are adjourned. We are adjourned.